What's up, man?
Welcome back, friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Always.
Always is, man. It's been a long week already, and it's only Tuesday.
I know, dude. We just started.
I'm
Like
pooped.
today seemed like it took forever. I was like, man, what time is it? Oh, okay. It's not even noon yet. Okay. It's like time moves slow today. And yesterday, man, I was like in the blink of an eye. I'm like, dude, the day's over. What happened? I was like, it's crazy.
It's moving extra slow for me because I'm doing that water fast.
So what brought that on? Let's start with that.
I realized how much weight I'd put on during the last year, just being inside all the time, running out for fast food or whatever. And it had made me mentally less sharp. It had made me mentally less creative, And so I got to lose this, and I want to lose it fast. And I like fasting, and the longest I've ever done is a 3-day water fast. So I'm on my tail end of day 2. I'm just taking it one day at a time. Obviously, my goal is 5 days. Cool. I think that's a good first step from 3. I don't want to go from 3 to 7.
Better add your cayenne pepper and
lemon, right? Lemon. Yeah, well,
the old school way.
Well, I'm probably gonna re-enter food with apple cider vinegar.
Put in
just some water,
Himalayan sea salt in for
why not?
Electrolytes and
why
stuff.
Not? Yeah.
But
it helps your body prepare to start receiving nutrients again. Between that and eating some nutrient dense foods, raw vegetables and stuff, so it can help to digest. It's nothing in there after a few days, So, but it's. I will say that today has been hard. Very hard. Like I had my subconscious self approach me a few times with a deal, like, hey, you've done it for a couple of days. That's pretty good. But I'm not, it's not going to get me to where I want to be. So I don't want to be lazy about it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it. And, Lindsay's on board, my wife, my kids know about it. I'm only walking in the morning. I'm not doing any exercise routine.
Yeah, it sucks the life out of you.
Yeah, I would be worthless. I did get a little early on, I thought, but late last night I went to bed with some headaches, and that's sort of normal for the first day of no food like that. But tomorrow is where third day for me is usually pretty easy. I have no idea what I'm in for on day 4 or 5 yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah. It's not been easy at all, especially when, the wife and kids come home with snacks and this and that. And I just go, well, you know what? That's what fucking got you into this. So stop doing what feels good and, do some shit that doesn't feel good for a while. So that's what brought it on. So it was, the weight, and I needed to kickstart that. Mm-hmm. I like to sort of start with the boom, okay, let's drop a few pounds and let's get going. But after that, I started to recall that my fast in the past had really, really done well for my meditations and just for general mindfulness, just not being a dick.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm doing it. And, so we'll see. So far, I haven't had any spells where I got real irritated or haven't had any anxiety, or it's just been a long, slow 48 hours.
Yeah, Mark Bell did one sometime this year. He did a 5-day one to reset his circadian rhythm.
Yeah,
because he said he was just so messed up with sleep and training and everything. And
sure,
he mixed stuff in like the cayenne and was it honey and lemon and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah, he did that.
Yeah,
but he did 5 days for it just to reset himself. And there's plenty of people out there that do it.
Yeah, I feel much better after I do a 2 or a 3 day. So I can't imagine that the 4 or 5 is going to be worse. I wouldn't say the same about our 10 or a 14 day. Like that.
No, you're going to have some substance in there.
And I mean, I'm not doing this under the guidance of a doctor. If I was to do something like that, I absolutely would.
Well, you got to follow some remedy, because you'd be getting no vitamins 14 days. You just really plummet.
Right. And that's another thing. A lot of people that water fast cut out all their vitamins and whatnot. I'm still doing my vitamins. I can't think that it's a bad thing.
Well, no, because you're not getting any nutrients.
Exactly. And for me, especially, I can't just stop taking my medications.
No.
I've got 2 of them that I have to take. And
Yes, you could, but you may not want the result that comes with it.
yeah, neither would my family. That'd be rough. But anyway, so I kept doing the medication. I'm still doing the medications, but it's straight water. I did have a tea before band practice yesterday for my throat. I guess I could have just had a cup of hot water. But
yeah, but what's really in a tea that's what kind of tea?
It was just like an herbal or like an English breakfast tea.
So
Basic tea, man.
there's 40 calories at best, maybe. I don't even know.
That. I think like 17 a cup or
Yeah,
something.
like you're
But
just getting.
some foods will throw you out of a fast,
Yeah.
and tea is not one of them. So I said, you know what?
Well, no,
For my throat's sake.
because that's what monks and the tea ceremonies and Zen stuff, they do tea.
Yeah.
Is some of that, and they would do so. Little backstory on tea.
Yeah.
Is tea is very popular in Eastern culture, but for the meditational aspect, tea was given to a lot of the Buddhist monks and Taoist and Zen stuff because they would do the fast, and when they would start to drift, the tea, naturally with its herbs and some caffeine, would bring them and alert them to keep them in that focused state, because that is the whole point of meditation, is not to just go to sleep, it's to be in a focused state of mind.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of them do. So that's no different than
So
them getting into that. Oh, I feel a little sluggish. A little tea to pick me up.
Yeah. I was actually going to make a cup tonight before we recorded, but I got the phone call, so I couldn't do it.
When I used to cut weight for fights and stuff, I would do like a cup of green tea in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I usually did one sometime after lunch, mid-afternoon. And I always try to time it before I had like my night practice, because that's when hell's going to break loose.
Yeah,
that's when
for
it was
sure,
2
man.
to 4 hours of practice at night.
Right.
So that's not what I did too.
Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, it's a unique experience, that's for sure, because I experienced the oddest thing last night watching my daughter. She was cooking something, and she took a couple bites of it, and watching her chew the food was the first time that my stomach actually sort of wrenched.
Yeah.
I had a physiological reaction. My body saw it, was like, oh, we need that. And so my gut, for the first time, I was like, oh, shit.
You chew ice, though.
I think I'm
That's
hungry.
what they do in hospitals, too.
Yeah, sure.
Depending on what's going on, you chew ice because it's the illusion of food.
Well,
It takes time.
chewing-
You can't slow it down. Like water, I can chug. If you can open your throat and just chug, there
Yeah.
you go. But
Chewing, in the act of chewing in and of itself,
you're psychologically getting your brain to align with your gut. Oh, food's
right,
coming.
It
so
helps to keep you
tricks
awake.
for a
It does all
moment,
sorts of good stuff for you. Yeah, that's why they say, like, whenever you're on a road trip, chewing gum or sunflower seeds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keep the jaw going. Yeah, works for me, man. But anyway, so we'll see this time next week if I'm still vertical or not, I guess.
Laying down,
Yeah, totally, man.
kick back
Totally.
in a recliner.
Yeah, for real, man. So earlier you and I were talking about being grateful
Mm-hmm.
and sort of knowing what you got and being okay with what you don't got,
Yeah.
right?
And kind of from a standpoint too of your knowledge. So we could simply start off with this: how do you measure wealth?
Yeah, it sounds, I'm going to throw this out there. It sounds cliche to say. It's like, oh, well, money isn't everything, or, what is your why or whatever, right? But, Jeff is dead on here. What do you find important,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, and so like with the question, when you hear that question, how do you measure wealth? When you listen to this, ask yourself that. What is your immediate response? For most people, it's going to be, oh man, what's in the bank account? What's my quote unquote net worth? That's what most people attribute to what is my wealth. And yes, that is one form of the definition, but I think that is the easy man's way out of wealth, because I could have $0 in the account and I'm still content. I'm still a happy person because I know that I'll get money and I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And then I've met people on the way, I'm sure you have too, that have god awful amounts of money, strive to make more and more and more, which is good. Nothing wrong with that. Economy needs it. And if they got to 0, they can get back again because there's a lot of,
Yeah.
millionaires who've lost everything, got back. But they would be like mentally destroyed. Like, oh my God, I'm poor now. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so let's remove the monetary value of the dollar, since the dollar is really not worth anything anyway, and go off of the richness of wealth of your knowledge. So we're in a blessed country. So I have a college education. Not everyone's going to, but think of all of your experiences military-wise. So we can take military. Turn your wealth in thinking of all the books you've read, whether from someone who's passed, someone who's living, all the podcasts you listen to. Maybe you like documentaries, even some TV's educational. The things you listen to, all the stimuli that is brought into your day-to-day, think of that as your wealth. And that's where I think so many people get twisted in their day-to-day, especially now, is, oh man, like, I got to make X amount of dollars. Why? Well, I got to do this. Why? And again, there's nothing wrong. We've talked about this before, of wanting to be wealthy and well off and not have to worry. But no different than Biggie said, more money, more problems.
Yeah.
It just adds up. It's true. Anybody who's filthy rich, they have bigger problems than the person who has less than them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when you think of wealth, is I don't think of it as what dollar amount do I have to my name. And I kind of read that from one of Alan Watts' books, is, he's talking about society and how it's an I and me world,
right?
More so than having that, kind of embodied, mutual relationship with nature, or it's always I and me versus it's we, or it's, there's no mesh. And so he talks about that, like how many people, friends. Now, when Alan wrote a lot of this stuff, you're talking 40s, 50s, 60s, because he died in 72. So way different era time. But he's talking like a lot of my friends, like, yeah, if we lost everything, we'd be content. But then I have friends that would lose everything and would lose everything, meaning they would lose their mind.
Yeah.
Because their attribute to wealth is by the possessions, not by the knowledge that they've gained. And he goes in, a lot of the books he read and the studies he did is, he read from, people who've passed, the dead, that how remarkable is it that the wealth of knowledge that is continually being shared, that we learn from these individuals, that makes us more wealthy, more valuable to society, to others. But yet, because we're not millionaires, we don't think of ourselves as wealthy to society. And I think that's a huge issue with a lot of people now, is that they don't feel they are wealthy to society. You don't, right. Oh man, Jeremy, dude, you don't got 50,000 followers and this, oh dude, you suck at social media.
Right.
Oh, you're not doing this? Like, that's where I feel society feels their wealth is in social media, money, versus the wealth of knowledge of what they might already have to what they can continue to, put into their mind and expand upon.
Yeah.
I think that's where the whole term of wealth is so just
I think I've
misconstrued.
Thought about it a little bit, and I realized that I find wealth in what things can do for me.
Yeah.
Like if I buy a camera for the studio, it's not that I want that camera. It's that I know the outcome it will provide for the podcast. I find a lot of wealth in that. The item, I'll take good care of it. And then whenever I'm done with it, I'll make most of my money back.
Which is, you do. I know that for a fact.
But I will absolutely gain more value and more wealth from what it did for me than making that money back.
Yeah.
That money back to me is a bonus. That's like, geez, it's like I got layaway for knowledge. I got layaway for abundance. And, there's smart ways to do that where they don't, you're not breaking the bank to make, a goal happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, man, you're spot on, dude. Spot on. We find wealth in the dumbest damn places.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have an abundance of wealth right in our home. And maybe we just don't realize it. Maybe because
I got a perfect question for you.
Please do.
You guys can't see everything in the room, and it really doesn't matter. So there's a TV, there's couch, there's a drum kit, badass art, musical stuff. There's a bunch of cool ass shit behind me, cameras, these mics, the setup. What is the most valuable thing in the room?
To you, I mean, honestly, without being hokey, it's you.
So it could be us.
It's you and me.
So now remove us, pick an inanimate object. What's the most valuable thing in the room?
Light.
Okay, that could be good.
Yeah.
I'm going with this.
I forgot about the water. Yeah.
Water.
Totally,
Yours
yeah.
is below you over there.
Yeah,
Mine's sitting up here. I usually put mine up here. Water.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so we're in a civilized society. So if I was really thirsty, I could literally go to any sink in your house and just put my head under and go.
Right.
But still, there are parts of the world that this would be like gold because it can hold water.
Yep.
You know, they don't have that abundance, and it's like the book like hit me and like all this stuff I'm reading because I'm reading back-to-back books of Allen.
Yeah.
But it's like what we value and put in is so just. We're so lost with it, and it's so sad. Like, I like that you took you and I, because I didn't even think of that. Because I was like immediately going inanimate objects. But I was like, oh, I got to be really specific when I ask this question.
Sure,
so do that with your guys' selves. When you look around your house, like, what is the most valuable thing? You know, most people, oh, it's my house. Or if you're blessed to have some high-end cars, and it's cool.
Right.
But that's not valued to everyone.
Yeah.
You know? You can go to certain parts of the world and they wouldn't even care. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
you provide no more
You
benefits.
got that. But everywhere in the world, water is valuable because it sustains life.
Right.
And that's where I'm backing up to the simplistic of ways. And I think that's another thing, too, to go to wealth of backing up to when the world was simpler, which I know we're so far advanced, we are blessed, but those things that you take for granted, we don't think about like, oh, man. Water.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hot. Oh, give me a minute. Oh, it's cold. You know, like those simple things of wealth that it just baffles my mind that
advertising.
Most people don't see it.
Advertising.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Advertising has told us what we've needed. It's told us what we've wanted since the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe early 40s.
Well, I'd say beyond that because it wasn't advertising. You know, we could say this has been Donald time, but it would have been a man in the street going, "Oh, you sir,
sure,
you need that." You know, it would have been a
I mean the current form and all of its manipulation.
I'd say probably whenever the first print ads became about, it'd probably be
So anyway,
probably prior to World War I.
Like I was thinking more like the Mad Men's like 50s.
Yeah, that'd be bigger.
People that were really like advertising.
That's when big money was being spent. Yeah,
advertising turned into, big money in New York, in LA. So anyway, the reason I say that is I think that we have allowed ourselves and we've taught our children, not that we've wanted to, it just happens naturally, that these things is where we find our happiness.
Oh, I think you'd have to segregate your child.
We're going to buy a new house. Well, you're teaching them right then and there that we need a new house, and that's how I should be happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not there's no lessons until maybe now, or hopefully people have been doing it. Maybe I was left out. The need has to come before the want.
Yes.
And for so long, we have all been placing our wants ahead of our needs, thinking that once we get the wants, the needs will be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how it works. And that's why we've gotten all backwards and upside down. And that's why we're on more medications now than we've ever been as a people. We're chasing dragons every day. And instead of just enjoying the dragon that we already have, or that we had yesterday or whatever, we have to stop chasing things. And we've said it before, and I'll say it again ad nauseum, I guess. Stop looking externally. We could keep going back to the same things here if we wanted to, but I really do think that the advertising, and I'm not going to, I advertise with my company. I utilize advertisements. I see things, they trigger me. I go, oh yeah, I want that. But you have to find a balance somewhere where you say, oh, good job, guys. You really got me wanting that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want it before I saw your ad, and I don't want it now anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got to find a way to not look at these things and let them subconsciously affect us the way I think they have been.
Yeah, I think, again, going, back to our kind of wealth discussion here is you see the things you want, the ads that trigger things in your brain. You see it over and over, placebo effect, eventually, like, oh, I got to have it. Or a buddy gets it, then you got to get it, so on and so forth. It's those types of things. But it goes back to, again, the simple question, do I need this or do I want this?
Right.
And then, you hear this from lots of, people that talk about budgeting and wealth, like, okay, what do I want? If I do payments, or how many hours or how many paychecks is this item?
Yeah, yeah.
And to break it down, then you're like, oh, then when you see it that way, do I really need this or can I really afford this? But I think instead of the wants of society and, material objects, it should be more of how can I empower my brain? Instead of investing in some luxury clothing item or something like that, I can take that and invest in books. I could go to the library, you can go to your library, or you can buy books, which we've exchanged books. So there you're sharing knowledge with each other. Yeah. I've reread books that I have, which I will do again in the future. So there's that plethora of endless knowledge that people just don't see before them as wealth. Yeah. And that's where it really is crazy that even Alan talking in his time, because I think that book was in the 50s, early 50s to late 50s, somewhere in the period between 1950s, 60s when he wrote it.
Yeah.
Talking about different time, completely, half the technology didn't exist. And he's talking like how his friends can't wait to buy this high-end blah, blah, blah car, and all they're doing is working towards to buy this high-polished car or this, and that. But they're not doing anything in their life to truly increase their value of wealth, which is what knowledge do you possess?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Alan was a well-off guy. Everything he did, he's probably worth more now that he's passed, as many people are, because their knowledge gets spread on more. But I don't know, man. It was a loss for words when I was reading that stuff, because we talked about this last week, and I, read more stuff about it, but it just baffles my mind that, people are like, oh, I got to work for this. Okay, cool. Will that bring you happiness? Versus reading some book that probably can truthfully retrain the brain, rewrite your thinking, rewire it to bring you natural happiness versus materialistic object.
Right. Well, it's something that we've never had. It's current generations. It's see, want, get over and over again. And that's, you've got parents that, work too hard, or maybe they're gone a lot and they're not around their children as much as maybe they'd like to be, or maybe they need to be, just throw it out there. Who's teaching the TV? Who's teaching the internet?
The ads,
Who's teaching the advertisements? That's the teaching is coming from somewhere. Do you want it to be you, or do you want it to be some random, company that wants $1?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I think we're stuck in that. I think that as a people, I think that we are stuck in that right now, and I think we want to get out, but I don't think that we know how. It's much like trying to if you got to lose 80 pounds of weight, you go, oh, Jesus, where do I start? Well, the first bite, right? You got to start.
And that's where people would jump to, quick fix versus long term. And that's with everything. No one, I got to learn something. Well, what's the fastest way I can do this? You want to cut the corners. You want to get a degree in something. Well, I guess there's a way to cut corners, but in reality, there's not. If you want to do it right,
Yeah.
There's so many just weird things with the way the world has shifted and the value that is put upon things. It's all monetary value of this dollar amount. Oh, you only make me this? Well, Joe Blow over here, well, Jeremy, he works twice as hard as you, works twice as many hours. and he brings in twice the amount of money.
Yep.
He's more valuable than you. When in reality, you could possess that knowledge more so than Joe Blow over here, just because he puts his head down and grind. To me, that doesn't make him any more valuable.
Right.
You know, and I've seen so many people, oh, man, I worked a 12-hour day. Cool. What did you do in that 12 hours that made you productive that maybe so-and-so could have done in 8?
Yeah. If you're head down, intently focused and doing work, no matter the kind it is, I don't care. By hour 12, you will be
shot,
fatigued. Your brain will be zapped.
Josh would be a perfect example. Like, you know, working with his hands, welding, doing all this stuff.
CFT?
Yeah, Josh from CFT. Dude would be wrecked. I bet at hour 12, he would not do his work because he'd be so shitty of how those welds looked or whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, like, to put out to people, that you're so many jobs now think, oh, man, but you're done 12 hours. I guarantee you at hour 12, like Jeremy says, you're doing shitty, horrible work.
Yeah. If you've truly been working the entire time. I mean, this morning is a great example. It was 9:45, and I lifted my head up from the desk, and I was like, I am exhausted because I hadn't stopped from like 7 in the morning, just work. And I thought to myself, my God, I'm going to sit my ass out in my living room and take a break for a few minutes. And that's what I had to do. I had to get out from it. If you're truly working, and you know what I mean, you can't sustain 12 hours, not multiple days in a row at least.
No, you might be in like a good zone to where you're really just going. We all have those moments.
Sure.
It's creative moments, but like even Elon Musk says to train yourself to get into a habit of working hard for 90 minutes straight and then taking 20 minutes and then getting back at it. He goes, you will train your body and your brain more so to be in a hard work pattern that, okay, 90 minutes, you will focus, work hard. You'll take a break, whatever that may be, then you go hard for another 90 minutes. And he said that's what he does.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of his focus. Well, shit, considering he's the goes back and forth between the first and second richest man in the world, let alone his just creative mindset and things that are going on with what he has a hand in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would take that to heart because that's a man I respect. Never met him.
Yeah.
But he's done some badass things that are changing the world. That's so true. But like when I used to, even the job now, like today, I was beat. Working on some marketing stuff, making some brochures, some other graphic things. By the time I got done doing all those little things on the computer, being very creative, I was like,
yeah,
I blew the one up, blew it full screen, and I'm looking at it. Okay, that looks good, that line. Maybe I should change that. I'm like, okay, I got to get away from this because I can't focus anymore. It looks like a giant blur to my brain.
Yeah, it's like saying the word grape over and over again. It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. And then in previous jobs, like I'd go hard for 8, 9, 10 hours and did phenomenal work, but it's just like, oh, you didn't do that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, to stop and you work 12 hours and hold on. That's not working.
Yeah.
You did not work 12 hours hard. Subtract all this stupid goofing around you did.
Yeah.
You did less than the man who busted and just put the head down for 8.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of why I think back to the old, you know, clock in, clock out era of the blue collar worker. Those dudes knew clocking at this time, we out. This is what we have to get done.
Yeah.
Before the next shift starts or by the end of the day or by that project. And I think the world would function a lot better if, okay, I got 90 minutes. I need to be by this point at this and here and here and here versus,
yeah, man.
well, there's no really, I'll just do it. Yeah. You know, because there's so many distractions.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, man, it's not easy.
No, it's not. It takes time to train. No different than mental training of, you know, when you decided you're going to pull meat out now to doing water fast or training for any physical feat.
Yeah.
It takes a mental state first along with the physical to follow. With any of this stuff, guys, it's all a mental game. There's no physical aspect.
Nobody else can help you.
Yeah, most people aren't doing anything physical with what we're talking about, but it really comes down to, I think, the wealth of knowledge and the power you put into your head. If you don't take the time to enrich it with reading, podcasts, maybe you're more visual, you need documentary, you need visual style. You're not doing those types of things. You're really just cutting their brain off. And yeah, you could be a multimillionaire, but pull that money away. Aside from that, you're really of no value. You're not of wealth. And I think that's where we as a society need to get back to is you're very valuable because you can do all these things. I can't do that. You know?
Well, I think I'll go back to what you said earlier. If somebody was to ask you, okay, what are you worth? And what's your value to them? You know, what kind of value do you bring to them? What if you no longer had your fancy car or your big house? What if, you know, the Harley Davidson that you were making payments on is now gone? What if all that shit was gone? How valuable are you? What do you do? What do you bring? I'm not saying people that work hard don't deserve nice things. Mm-hmm. Not at all. I'm not shitting on anybody. It's when it gets excessive. It's when it rules your life like it does for so many of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think that's what a lot of people put into the younger generations, thinking that is the measure of success. That is the measure of a person's value and wealth that will make you happy. Where I think there's now a shift where more and more young people, you know, the tiny home thing, like you guys are doing with the van, like people are tricking out vans into being mobile homes and forgoing the big home and traveling across the country and living more out in the land. There's that shift of people like that. I don't need all that to be happy.
Yeah.
Especially with this shift due to the pandemic that most people don't realize we don't need you in the office.
Right.
You work really good at home.
Yeah. A lot of young people are saying they don't even want cars now.
And that's the same. A lot of people don't have to.
Yeah.
If depending where you live, you can bike, scooter.
Think about
Uber.
that. The generations before us, maybe two back, have gotten to see the rise of the Eisenhower interstate system, mm-hmm. right? The first highway system, all the way till now when people don't even want to use it. Mm-hmm. You know, the young kids now coming up that I don't want to get in a car. There's all these car accidents. They don't want
to. There's a lot of younger families that are getting one car.
You got to park it somewhere. If you live in the city, where the hell are you going to do that? I mean, there's really good rationale. I've heard a lot of parents, back when I was coaching football, a lot of parents, somebody would tell a story about, so-and-so's kid doesn't want to get their license, and everybody scoffs at it. Because for us, it was a symbol of freedom. Mm-hmm. It was a way to get away.
Yeah.
Well, maybe these kids aren't trying to get away. Have you thought about that? Maybe these kids are embracing where they're at and what they're doing, and maybe they're trying to make changes where they're at. Maybe they don't want to run away like we all did.
Well, think, too, from another standpoint, if you don't have to drive yourself from A to B, you can take public transportation. You can read, right? There's another 30 minutes to an hour, 2 hours of your day, an hour or two. You have to do other things to enrich yourself.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do that. Like, you know, when I had longer drives, I always found podcasts.
Yeah.
Found podcasts I found some ones that are just funny and good to listen to, but stuff that provided some good content. Because I was like, well, I can't read. You know, it'd be stupid. I've seen people do it.
Oh, God, yeah.
But, I found time to use my time wisely. And then sometimes I would work or be on the phone, which I didn't idolize, but I knew I could make up some ground if I needed to or to catch up some stuff. I could do it, but I always try to find podcasts and stuff that were enriching me to use my time wisely. But it is. One of my clients, his stepson doesn't have a license, and he's 18, 19.
Yep.
Still doesn't drive.
Yeah.
And it's just,
I can't imagine, because I still like, I've had days or weeks where my vehicle is down or something, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's debilitating. But where I live, it is debilitating. There's not a bus stop near me. You know, I live in a rural community. It's almost like you need a car to get to the bus stop so you can take a damn bus. But man, it's amazing to me that we're seeing that transition or that shift. I think it's a part of a much larger conversation.
Yeah, I really do. I think it's a slow societal shift that will start to happen more as we start to see these younger generations do this. You start to see younger generations doing, getting out of the cities more, exploring the land, doing these, mobile home style vans, tricking them. Right. I've seen a couple of people I know have done it.
Yeah.
And building them and doing this stuff, because it's like, why stay put when you don't have to now? Now, some of us have jobs where you got to go in no matter what.
Yeah.
But there are a majority of jobs out there that it does not require you to be in a seat. By that standard, if that your job says, oh yeah, you need to be here, or else, yeah, they don't look at you as value. They're looking at you as, we got to look over your shoulder because we don't believe you're doing what you're supposed to if you're not here. Yeah. And then that's another problem of they're not expanding their mindset and growth of society, that the world's shifting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I wonder, in 50 years, are we going to look back at cities like New York and go, Jesus, what were we thinking? You shove all these people into these buildings, these high rises and these cube farms.
I still think you'll have those that flock to it, but you're not going to have a lot.
I think that I think you're right. I think there are going to be people that, like the old dogs, they don't want to die. Like, this is how they work. It's very much like the military, where it's like, well, it's how we used to do it, so it's how we've always done it. But I just don't see the benefit in it. If it's possible for somebody to do their job now because of the internet from their home, why the hell are you wasting company dollars on a facility?
And that's it. Another thing, you're wasting millions upon billions to hold these buildings. Downsize the space if you got to have meeting space or gathering space or stuff for events, or, maybe you got your people that need to be in the office, so you got their space, and then you got a big, large gathering area for when the other employees come in. Put the money back into the company in other ways, or put it back to the people who are continuing to help you grow.
Yeah.
Totally. That's my thought, from many businesses and stuff, like they stay small, and I'm like, man, they're making all this money. Why don't they do this? Because they're keeping it to their people.
Yeah.
They're not putting expenses in some, how many square foot building, which, to each their own, but
right.
Reinvest into your people, but I think that's against society. You gotta have the glitz and the glam to your people than to the outside world who sees it. Oh man, they got to be doing good. Look what they got. Versus there are how many companies that, like you, operate out of the house or the garages that are very well successful, but they're just like, I don't need to do that.
Yeah, I've been asked countless times about growth and, bringing in employees and stuff. And it's why? I mean, I don't need anything more than I have. So what do I want? More headaches?
Yeah. I know.
Do I want to make this company something that I don't love anymore?
And then it poisons it. I know a guy, he's a local supplement guy, well known in the area. Got his own supplements made here locally. And, I'm like, man, you should do this as that. He goes, we do well. He goes, I'm almost out of stock almost every month of everything of what I get, and still got to have them make more of everything. It's flying off the shelves fast just as I do it.
Yeah.
Why change it? He's happy with the people he's supplying. His customers are happy. His clientele is happy. The people that buy that aren't near him are happy. He's ecstatic by the things that he's creating. And it's just like, why change it?
Yeah.
Because society says that you should be this big conglomerate if you're doing so well, versus people just also stay within your confines to where you're happy.
Yeah, stay within your means. Because if you're one of these people that says, oh, I want to be $1 million company, do you know what it takes to go from a $500,000 company to $1 million company?
I worked for one too. That was right on the cusp, and dear God, the madness that we ensued,
the massive jumps,
just to double the yearly revenue,
right,
to get into that realm, and then to get it up to that realm to be potentially have big time investor,
right.
So it was insane, just the stress on us, and we're down to here.
So why do you want to go and bring that stress into your family?
I've worked for $1 billion company. I've worked for a multi-million. I've worked for one that was on the cusp and broke $1 million.
Why would you want to do it? Why do you want to, if you own one of these companies and you have the possibility of growing, and I understand the vision is grand, but have you really thought about all the headaches that come with this shit of being that big, and is it so you can get a better car or a jet or, a bigger house? Is it so your kids can go to a more prestigious private school? Like, really, what the fuck? Take these things away, like Jeff said earlier, and what's left with you? What do you got?
No. Again, yeah. And we're not harping to say that it shouldn't be a goal. For some people that is, they want those things, and that's fine. I don't. I know some people like that, and I'm so happy when they get some badass stuff. I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
Sure.
But we each all have our thing which internally drives us. Like you put like a Lamborghini and something else out there. Like my truck I have now. Mm-hmm. I'm like, can I just drive the Lamborghini? Say I drove one. but I really don't have a desire to own one.
No.
It just doesn't tickle my fancy.
Right.
But that's not to say there's another guy like, man, that's his dream. Cool. I want you to get your dream. I want everybody to. It'd be a badass world if we could all work towards a dream.
What happens when you get that dream and you're standing there with it, and about a week in or a month in, you're going, I'm no happier.
Some will be, but some won't be.
I mean, not happier like, oh, I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
Objective accomplished. Congratulations. I get that. I mean, what's the worth or the wealth or the value of that car once you have it?
Mm-hmm.
What is it doing for you?
Yeah.
Other than making you look like a badass.
Yeah.
What is it doing for you? There's zero things that it does for you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to drive the Lambo to shop and save and back? Or are you going to, I mean,
possible.
Maybe. I'm sure there's guys out there.
There's people out there to do it.
Yeah. but come on, man. It's just silly. And I just think that just all this shit, like, I think that we are the greatest nation in the world at saying, look at my shit.
I think that's what the world's become versus look at what I have versus what I have done.
Right.
So remove those fancy things you have, and then what kind of impact are you doing on the world? And I know there's a lot of people we can name that got some badass shit that are doing lots of fancy things.
Sure.
That are done good things for the world.
Yeah.
You know, like, again, I don't personally know Elon, but I like to think you strip everything he has. He's a good man at heart. Well, does a lot of things, donates a lot,
right.
Big on that stuff. And we can name other people out there that do the same thing.
Yeah.
But I think there should be a shift of what society is telling you is going to make you happy. Being wealthy, being able to do these things doesn't, because there are plenty of celebrities who have all this wealth that have more mental problems than they would ever deal with. And guess what? All the money that they have can't fix it.
Yeah. No.
No,
money's not there to help you when you fall down like that.
No.
I mean, unless you could justify it by saying it may pay the bill, but that's about it.
But again, there's no drug on this earth that will fix those mental problems.
No.
It can help, but it can't cure it.
Nah, man. Until I stop chasing the Lamborghini and the other proverbial things, I've never been so happy. I've never been so grateful and so humbled by what I do have than when I stopped chasing things. Mm-hmm. And now in present day, present moment included, I have exactly what I need and exactly where I need it. You know what I mean? I'm referring to this room, this thing we have here. And right out those doors, I have exactly what I need for Beryl. Mm-hmm. No more, no less. It's what I need. And it's a great place to be when you can find yourself truly saying, man, I'm really getting down to where I have things that I need, and I love the things that I have and what they do for me. And when I get my next paycheck or whatever it is, the next payday comes, I'm not already going, oh yeah, well, this new thing dropped and I got to go get this new thing. It's not about that anymore.
Yeah. I was thinking that because a while back for a thing, we had to make a vision board, which is great to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people already had them done and all this, and they had fancy cars and big homes, and it was like, okay, I put a truck on there and like another vehicle for the missus. I didn't put like giant homes and all this, and everyone's like, man, why don't you have like one of those on there? It's like, I don't know. That doesn't suit me. Like, I thought of more things of providing for my family, like dreams for my wife and things, things she wants, and like things for my daughter's future. Like, I thought of in that realm versus all materialistic things that other people put. Yeah. A few people put that, like a celebrity, those that weren't married were hoping that they'll find their soulmate in life. Want to have families. Okay, that's good. I just didn't feel that I needed to put down, I needed this car, this house to work towards. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
And that's where the whole world gets skewed. That's where your happiness is trying to go towards.
It's a habit.
It's an tonic treadmill.
Yeah.
I remembered it. I reread it that you guys we talked about this before, but you're on this treadmill and all you're doing is the treadmill does. You're walking, but you're going nowhere.
Yep.
Cool. I get this. And we keep going.
Yeah.
and this thing's going around with you, then, oh, that's not happy. Cool. I get the next thing. I'm happy. Oh, that doesn't do it anymore. Then I get the next thing.
Yep.
So you acquire these things or you get rid of it, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, because you're constantly trying to replace things on this treadmill of life that will create happiness versus realizing that it's there. And when I first heard this term was in a Stoic meditational thing. I'm talking about Marcus shared almost all of Rome's wealth. They were getting rid of the furniture and the palaces and the temples, getting rid of things that did not needed to aid all of Rome when it was hurting during the plague, when they were hurting for money. He's like, we don't need these things. Get rid of sell this stuff. Do whatever we need to do.
Yeah.
To think that he knew that wealth was not going to make him happy. God, he is going to be he is still this day one of the greatest rulers of time. To think that, I don't think we got any on the ballot right now that are going to be spoke about 4,000 years from now on doing things for society, your people like that. Because most people now, I'm not giving away my wealth for the greater good of man.
Right.
So when you think there's time like, yes, I need this, and you really do, but is that going to make me happy? Because how long am I going to go around on that treadmill again?
Yeah.
Till that happiness is subsided, and then I got to get something else to fill it.
Yeah, man. Dude, I lived that life for 30 plus years, until I was well into my 30s. Man, I had a new car maybe every year. I had, if there was a new damn iPhone or iPod, I had it. If there's whatever it was this treadmill, this hamster wheel that I couldn't get off because my habitual self, my monkey brain took over every time I had an extra dollar in my pocket, so much so that when I was a kid, I would spend all my allowance and all my lunch money on new records, right?
Yeah.
Well, then if I want to go out with my girlfriend, who's not my wife, thank God, she'd flip the bill for everything we went and did. I look back and I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, it's taken decades to learn a lesson.
Same here. I'm still learning to push those things away if I don't really need that. Like I bought some running shoes today.
Yeah.
And it's like, because doing CrossFit, more running is warmer weather. No, so you remember all that.
I do.
Thanks, Shane. But I'm not arguing or complaining. I'm running in shoes from 2013. Literally, the heels are tearing out the back.
Right.
I don't have running shoes.
But you got a beautiful truck out there that you're paying on.
Yeah. So, but I've just started kind of getting back into this. So it makes sense why I've not had these shoes. I've not bought these style running shoes because I've not done that since about 2014.
Yeah.
Henceforth, why those shoes were from that time frame. I've not bought those kind of shoes just because I didn't need them.
Yeah,
that wasn't the style of fitness.
Right.
They're still comfortable as shit. I love these things.
Right.
I probably will keep them until my toes come out. My heels are about ready to come out, but
that's awesome.
They feel great, but it's like I understand the long run what this is going to do to my body because they took their beating.
Yeah.
I bought them in early 2013 when I was doing a bunch of HASS and
that's a tool,
training,
though.
all that. Yeah,
that's
and
a
so
tool.
I see it as that, and that's where
they bring you wealth.
It brings me that wealth of it'll do physical wealth for me, keep me healthy, push me mentally, push me. But it took me that, and that's where I felt odd for a while with a group of people I was around. The things that they all wanted were materialistic items versus true happiness. And not to say that, a car, something could bring someone, it really could.
Oh, I think there's nothing like building a car and working on a car. That's a meditative thing in itself.
I think for some people that can bring them what they're looking for.
Sure.
But it wasn't, and that's, when my shift in my head kind of got more to this combining Stoic, Zen, Buddhist kind of mindset, and was like, there's a lot better things in life than just trying to work to have all this wealth. And what good does it do you? So I could be the richest man in the world, but if all I did is work all day long and I don't get to enjoy it, what the hell's the point of it?
Yeah, I've said it before. I'll say it again just to reiterate. I traveled, 50 to 75% of the time for a long time post-military. And this is the time when I was raising my children when they were very young. I missed so much time with them because I traveled trying to make money, quote unquote, for them, for us. And now they're older, and they're, one's in high school and one's getting ready to be, and now they're busy and they have their lives and their things they want to do. And I'm sitting there, holding my, what, going, all right. Now there's nobody here for me. They're busy. They have their things. So now I have to figure out how to learn how. It's a new habit. It's not easy, but I have to get out of the habit that they're going to be around and I'm just going to have my little buddies around to talk to and hang out with. They have to start forming their own selves now, and it's without me. Yeah. It's very, very difficult to sit back and watch. Yeah. I'll tell you, if you got kids and they're soon to be teenagers, Jesus criminy, hang on. I've never experienced anything like. I never thought of it.
I got some time. We got 5. Well, coming 4. It'll be 4 and some small change coming up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm. It's good because they're at the age where they've got each other, so they can talk to each other and work things out where they don't have to come to mom or dad. But there's times where you really miss your kid coming to you for some help with something because they just didn't know or they just genuinely couldn't do it. Now the only time that happens is if they're being lazy. It's a big shift, man. Big shift. But they bring so much wealth to me and to my household that the cost of ownership, so to speak, is worth it to me. Yeah. Is, raising those kids and having the hard times with them. It makes it very much so worth it. Yeah.
I agree.
For real.
I agree. Yeah.
Cool. All right, man.
I got nothing else.
Cool. Let's put a pin in it.
I'll just say I'll leave it at this, guys. Reshape and rethink how you think of what true wealth is and what value in your richness. Think of how wealthy or how rich I am, but don't put that definition in the answer to money. Put it to other things.
That's right.
Things that you can take, just like education. The world can take everything from you, but they can't take what you've learned and what's in your head. So look at it that way.
And I'll add to that, just to piggyback, if you had everything taken away from you, you had no more material items, who would still be there for you and why? And if you can answer that question, then you'll know who you are and what worth you bring to them.
Could you still smile and be happy?
Right. That's right. Yep. So love the ones that are loving you. Make sure they know it, folks. Other than that, I got nothing.
I'm good.
Cool. Peace.
Till next time.
See you.